Hey everybody, I'm Matt. I'm at the AAPG OKC conference, and man, I get to introduce you to my friends, and luckily one of them's here. Introduce yourself.
Hi, so I'm Andrew Muñoz. I'm the Chief Technology Officer at 4cast, and I've been doing this for about 6 months now, not too long.
Yeah. Zach's going to be very surprised that we're doing this right now.
I'm sure he will be.
Yeah,
he might be jealous.
Yeah, he might not be. I don't think he's loved me crowbarring into any podcast I've put him on so far.
That's all right.
But I'm such a fan of 4cast. You know, what you guys are doing is fascinating, and I just see nothing but the positive impacts it's having on, our industry and what it's going to do for your customers. So, I just want to keep promoting it, and of course I love that dude, and I know all that you do. But Andrew, where'd you grow up?
Thanks. So I grew up in Houston. So native Houstonian. I moved around a little bit. I worked in Denver and Tulsa, so I've seen a lot of oil and gas cities and got to spend a lot of time there, and it's been part of my experience, getting to see different assets.
Is your background in oil and gas before 4cast?
Yeah, so before 4cast, I was a geophysicist,
Yep.
And so I got my degree in geophysics from Texas A&M, and then I went to Colorado School of Mines, got my master's, and then I got out, and right as the industry was kind of turning in 2014, and I started working at Newfield Exploration. And I spent a lot of time on exploration teams and learning different assets. And
of course, Tulsa office.
Oh yeah,
I went up and down those halls for years.
It's a great office and a great location, and we really enjoyed living in Tulsa.
Yep.
But we followed the downturn and followed the closing of the offices and the consolidation of the company. And it was great for me in terms of experience. I got to see a whole lot. I got to meet a lot of mentors. I got to get a lot of great experience across many basins, and then ultimately I got to be a part of the data science team that we originated at Newfield, and learned a lot from that. And then when Encana came along and decided to merge with Newfield, I had a great opportunity to go to private equity, and for me that was the next step, because I wanted to learn the business, I wanted to get closer to the money, and really learn how a solid companies run from an operational perspective. So I got to be the geophysicist at Ensign. We bought Pioneer's position in the Eagle Ford, so it's a pretty large position, and operated that, drilled over 100 wells, and we eventually sold that to Marathon in December, as when we closed it, and then we were kind of on a temporary transition until the end of February, and in March I officially started with 4cast, and started developing what I call the version 2 of what we're on right now.
Now, were you writing any of your own pieces of softwares at the other companies? That's just it.
Yeah.
Your background is so science, but then you got to do all the computer stuff as well.
Yeah, so I've been programming Python and Java since I was in grad school.
That's so great.
Yeah, I spent a long time.
The next generation of oil and gas leaders has all that computer background.
Yeah, it's key. You have to have that to really integrate and to succeed in these operators, and to really know how to bridge the gaps among all the disciplines. And so I really appreciated that from the beginning, and those are the skills that I brought with me. And every piece of software I've written multiple times, so it's no surprise that when I came to 4cast, the things that I learned, I wanted to redo and reimagine, and have kind of built up those same concepts in the software you see today.
In our industry, man, we were blessed to have you.
I appreciate that.
Well, because 30,000 foot view. 4cast, to me, when Zach first explained it, and what I was fascinated by, is like, Matt, there's going to be a buyer and a seller, and I just want to make it fair for both of them. I want them to both know, besides their opinion, I want them to have the data and the facts to come to the table with a deal that makes sense for both people.
That's right.
The real underlying, this property has, this amount of data on it, and here's what we both really know from it.
Yep. Yeah.
That's a game changer.
It is.
For everybody.
Yeah, and our clients have that advantage when they, go into these areas, and they can look at pretty complicated sets of wells and interest and different development situations, and can easily come up with a value and even do different scenarios off that. Then they're going to get the best price. They're going to have the best time at buying and selling their assets.
Yeah, the best price for both. And that's where this industry, I think that's where you develop the long-term, partnerships and collaboration that we all need anymore, where we're not robber barons anymore.
Yeah.
Now there's software out there that's accessible to anyone.
Yeah.
and you can come to the table, and those negotiations are appropriate.
Exactly. I mean, we've leveled the playing field with it. I mean, that's part of this approach is that you don't have to be a specialized engineer to go through and evaluate an entire oil and gas asset. You can use the software to get to that answer and to come to the table with armed with that knowledge.
So for besides my 30,000 foot view, what all does 4cast do right now?
Yeah, so the main thing we do is we've completely streamlined and simplified the A&D workflow. So just evaluating any oil and gas asset, we've brought the most complicated pieces, which is getting the data, sourcing the data, integrating it into your piece of software, and then actually running a forecast and evaluation of that asset. And so we can get cash flow, we can get pricing, we can get analytics for any type of asset, and we have just combined all those components into one piece of software that, frankly, anybody can use.
What were you surprised about that people really had a hunger for in your data the most? What were you seeing hits on? You're like, oh, I need to start building this out more.
Yeah. I think the timing on the permits has been really interesting for me because I'm sort of new to the mineral space in particular. I mean, I've worked an operator for a long time, but most of the concepts are the same, right? It's oil and gas production, it's oil and gas assets, but the timing of the permits and how important that is and where they're located and who's doing them, I always find that to be really interesting. And so I've been trying to incorporate that a little bit more and having those visuals be really up front so you can see where the activity is happening.
Neat thing for me in Oklahoma, and it's really hard to translate to other areas, but as business development, we have the forced pooling, and you can go back and forth on the argument of if that's good or bad for our industry and small operator versus large operator here, but for business development guys, you see a pooling order, someone way ahead of a drilling permit is going to have activity in that area. So for me, I was always like so happy that anybody ever had a report about pooling activities, because at least I know to go, and really beneficial for me and them is to get in front of that operator and go, hey, I see that you're going to be doing some work. I didn't know if you knew my services existed. I know you'll need them.
Right.
Let's get you set up with credit. We'll work on the MSA, and then well before your permit, you won't have an engineer or a superintendent or a company man scrambling to get the services he needs. Your operation will go smoother. Your AFE will be lower. So it all works hand in hand. Just things that they may not know they need now.
Exactly.
In other areas of the United States, there's not such a thing as forced pooling orders. So it might end up being just a drilling permit that pops up on the radar, and it's like, whoo, we're behind, boys and girls. We got to get busy.
That's right. Yeah.
I like that you're seeing things that are useful and putting it into here.
That's the most important thing. And so we spend time talking to clients or even potential clients, and if multiple people are asking for a feature, I just add it. I mean, it's that simple. I don't have to sit here and go by committee and figure out, is this going to be valuable? If I see it, I'm like, oh yeah, you're right. Like, I can see how you'd make money on that. We should definitely add that. It's an easy decision. So for us, that flexibility is really key, and people find that really valuable. They find the ability to be able to shoot me an email and I can get on the phone with them and go over something or add a feature or customize what they're looking at. They find that really valuable. And that's oil and gas, like you said, is all about relationships. So if you can have a relationship with your most important piece of software, then I think that is really valuable to people.
Where do you think you can take 4cast in the future? What all data points do you hope that will develop in our industry to be able to pull it into this?
I mean, to me, I want to mostly keep the workflow as simple as possible while continuing to add really powerful features and analytics to the workflows as well. So we're going to keep expanding our product line. As you've seen, we've released a sort of a core version of our main important features.
Core, if you will.
Yeah.
We could just
we're debating the name a little bit still.
4cast Pro, 4cast Elite Pro, Advanced,
But it's got all the same, it's got all the power of the features that you have right now, and we're saying, well, look, we think this is very valuable. This is the core feature, the core workflow of what 4cast does at the moment, and we want people to be able to retain that and use that in their workflows as a screening tool, as an evaluation tool, whatever they want to use it for. And we're going to keep adding more and more advanced features to our Pro version that will be really valuable, and big operators and people who really want to do in-depth analysis and be able to save all these different scenarios and do really large deals. And so we're going to keep adding those features to add value for our customers and how they approach their A&D workflows.
Man, these deals are getting ginormous.
They are. They're huge.
Large operator with large operator.
Yeah.
We see this talk about a couple large operators on the Permian coming together.
Yep.
And some just astonishing other deals that have happened this year.
Yeah.
And all of a sudden you have thousands and thousands and thousands of wells you're about to take over, and you need to know rather quickly to be able to evaluate those. You need to be able to, hey, we as soon as we get these, we need to start selling these.
Exactly.
Little things like how many of these wells have flares on them. Do we know? How much flare gas is coming out of each one of those wells. How many of these wells have this many tanks and this many tanks. What's our methane emissions on these?
Right.
Because ESG is part of every boardroom now.
It is, and that's on our roadmap is adding CO2e forecast, because it's a simple extension of doing gas and oil forecasting is looking at what is your carbon equivalent production. So that's something that we're
this well
going
marginal
after.
well to us that we need to look at selling?
Yeah.
Is this a well that's a marginal well that we could turn into a geothermal well?
A Bitcoin mine.
Bitcoin mine.
There's lots of applications.
Yeah, because again, we keep talking about this, what they've coined. I say they, and use it as you want, but I call it energy addition. I don't think any well is needing to be really plug and abandon until that's the last straw.
Right.
And I know for the better part of this decade, they've been talking a whole lot about plugging and abandoning, but I think our next generation of oil and gas leaders are going to have a new hashtag called Save the Wells.
Yeah.
Not the ones in the ocean, but our wells. And to save those, we're going to be like, well, these are the 15 things we can do with them now.
Exactly.
We
can case and store nuclear waste, and then we can, inject and get hydrogen out of some of these, and we can go in and recomplete them and get more oil and gas. We can inject CO2. There's so many applications for having a hole in the ground.
So long embarrassed on all of this. Save the wells, refrac. It makes me excited.
I mean, one of my earliest clients of when I started is doing that. He's going through and screening deals, just constantly looking for refrac opportunities, looking for workover opportunities. I mean, the ability just to comb over deals and look in certain areas for that is really valuable.
Well, thank God for what you do. I appreciate you, Zach. Thank you for introducing me to 4cast, and I know you've got partners out there, so thank them as well. How do people get a hold of you, and how do they find 4cast?
Yeah, so I'm most common on LinkedIn. I'm easily to access on LinkedIn. You can find me there, 4cast.io, if you want to come see our website. We just refreshed it and added a few new things, and feel free to contact us and schedule a demo on Calendly on the website.
All right. Buddy,
thanks, man.
Take care. God bless. We'll see y'all next time. Get on 4cast and try it out, man. It's fantastic.
Appreciate you.
Good job. Bye-bye.
Bye.